Hello and welcome into Sorare with Laird. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare. Here today to talk about fun. And if you came in here thinking we were talking about DNPs, that's going to be part of it, but I have just no interest in talking about DNP solutions because we've talked about all of them. And everyone who has a new idea, we've heard the idea. There are no new ideas, and anything that's new is bad. And there's one clear solution that that I think is the right one. That doesn't mean everybody else thinks it's the right one. Some people think it's not even a problem, which is hilarious. But anyway, we're going to get into that a little bit today because Sorare sent out a survey about potential DNP solutions for MLS this season. Usually MLS is kind of the precursor to what we see in the rest of Sorare. And so we'll see what happens. Thank you to everybody for coming in. Pico Player, Andreas, and Yorkie Will on the podium. So congratulations to you three. Pico Player said, Sorare is fun regardless of DNP stuff. So, and Andreas, this is the point I was going to make. It is fun. We just want more of it. And Yorkie Will said, no, it's not meant to be fun. Now eat your DNP and broccoli. I think just because something is fun doesn't mean it can't be more fun. And just because something is fun doesn't mean it's a perfect game. And just because something's fun doesn't mean it's more fun than alternatives that might be more enjoyable. And we'll probably get into that today also, to be honest. Pat Cake said, I voted for the 35 points for a DNP, too many losers from a sub perspective. I'd like to go into that, even though I said I didn't really want to talk about that because I'm not sure who the losers are from a sub perspective. If it goes anything beyond because people have to buy more cards. And I think we are way beyond the point of, I don't want to have to buy more cards. We always have to buy more cards. How about we buy more cards that we actually want to own, or at least could use, other than throwing into a vault and never seeing again? Yorkie Will said, so would you be happy to finish second to a guy that scored 35 points from nobody and won? Sorare Burrows on team rolling locks. Mikey Baston, good to see you. Podiums are so 2025. Yeah, you weren't even close, Mike. Not even close. Surface to air missile. Good morning to you, sir. ZM Star, DNPs are over given the manager survey today. Which method they go with now is the interesting part. What do you mean by over? The options look like they were created by a 5-year-old. Anion, what's up? Harry Trades the GOAT. Good to see you. Thomas from Sorare in the States has the best, using a clue type mechanic for subs. Clue type mechanic. Like you could win a sub? Is that what you mean? Pat Cake said, if I can't beat a team with a player who scored 35 points, it's more to avoid relegations and not kill your engagement weekend. So I don't think survival is an engagement saver. So the topic is whether Friday streams are fun. Low blow, Mike. Low blow. For me, this game week is extremely unengaging because I have to pause my streak, even though I want to play. That's a whole different thing. Red or Dead, what's up? Been a minute, I feel like. Anyway, so I don't really want to go down the whole like list of solutions that people have come up with, because there's no consensus really. And I think we all can appreciate that. That a solution that they come up with is not going to please everyone. But I'll also kind of point out that everything that they change on the platform is not liked by everybody. Can we at least agree on that? Some people really like SO7. They did it anyway. There was certainly no overwhelming feedback from the users that said, we want SO7. In fact, there was kind of hesitating pushback when we were told they were going to test it. And then it wasn't tested. It was just thrown into the game. Tom said, for me, DNP is you giving more fun to other users. Others getting DNPs is them giving fun to you. I mean, that's certainly a way to look at it. It's not remotely close to how I look at it. Particularly in the age of hot streaks, I don't care what other people are doing. Genuinely. When I get up in the leaderboard, like my expectation, excuse me, not my expectation, my response when I have a really good lineup that scores high on the leaderboard is awesome. I scored really highly, not I'm so glad that all these other people got DNPs. I want to play in a game where we're all on a level playing field, at least in terms of having enough players in our lineups. Me winning because my 5 guys scored more than your 4 guys, yeah, I mean, I'll take the win, sure. But that's not a healthy game. So this is the survey that they sent out, or part of the survey, excuse me. I didn't take the survey because it wasn't given to me. That doesn't mean that I can't take it. There was a link shared somewhere, but the question specifically was below are potential ways that DNP scoring could be changed for Sorare MLS leaderboard competitions. So there are a couple of things that I want to discuss in here. It's fun. The phrase DNP scoring is funny in its own right, because as you'll see with most of the solutions, or half of the solutions, we'll say, you get a score for something not happening, which is, I feel like, the total opposite of what fantasy sports are about. But the next part, Sorare MLS leaderboard competitions. And this, I feel like, plays right into the hands of everyone's good friend Yippee Kaye, who is borderline adamant that any DNP solution should be for streaks only, and that leaderboard competition should still be ripe with DNPs so that when he submits his lineups with all starters, he wins. I may be putting words into his mouth, and I apologize for that. But I do wonder if this is an indication that they're going to split leaderboard and streaks in MLS, whether you use one of these options in a leaderboard and it doesn't apply to your streak, or it negates your streak. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I should take the whole survey and find out. But anyway, as I said, below are potential ways that DNP scoring could be changed for Sorare MLS leaderboard competitions. Which do you prefer? Select up to 2. Make between 1 and 2 choices. The first one is no change. Keep as is, which there is absolutely a contingent of Sorare users who prefer that. So I'm sure they'll get some votes there. The next one is each DNP is replaced with a score of 35. Meaning, yeah, your player didn't play, but we're going to pretend like they started and just didn't do anything. The next one is each DNP, is replaced with a score of 25 points. Now, this is basically a 10-point penalty for having a player in your lineup that didn't start and did nothing. But basically, you're getting 25 or 35 points for something that did not happen, or for a player that nothing happened. Now, you can make the argument that a player could play 90 minutes and still score 35, but at least that player actually played. And I feel like one of the important aspects of fantasy sports is that they're based on things that actually happen in reality. This is not a metaverse game. This is real life football. Anyway, 10% score bonus placed on all non-DNP cards. This one legitimately baffled me. I had to read it like 4 times because I was like, clearly they are not saying that if you have a DNP, then your other players get a bonus. But that's exactly what it is. So if you just happen to play a DNP player with an L15 of 0, get your 6.6% bonus thanks to the anti-stack and keeping under the 260. Then everybody gets a 16% bonus on top of their XP. How about that? Sorare says giving players scores when they play is a terrible idea. I think so too, but it is what it is. Um, if they do DNP only for leaderboards, that's the complete opposite of what we wanted. LOL. Also, kind of true. The last one, excuse me, the second to last one is ability to add an additional card when setting lineups to be used as a DNP quote unquote substitute, unquote. So this is just a sub. And it appears that it is just one card in your lineup. Actually, I don't think you could read this any number of ways. Ability to add an additional card when setting your lineups, meaning you have one card that is the sub for wherever you have a DNP. Now, they wouldn't be used in multiple lineups, I assume. I think it would just be either the first DNP that you get or whatever. That subs opens up a whole can of worms in terms of what they actually mean. Do you want one sub per lineup, one sub per competition, one sub overall, more than one sub? This specifically says an additional card, which I think any rational English-speaking person would say that's one. And then the last solution is other. Not solution, but what you prefer. And I assume that if you click other, you can type in what you think is best. And then they'll be flooded with all of the terrible ideas that we've all seen on Twitter and YouTube and wherever else people talk about Sorare. And so I wouldn't say, Mike, it's necessarily ambiguity so much as I'm pausing here because it's not that I'm going to agree that it's ambiguity, but I'm just not sure. Like, ambiguity assumes that they have a number of solutions and they're making it ambiguous to come up with so that there's no clear definition. And I just don't think that they actually have a clear definition. Pat Cake said, but if I don't have a starting forward, I just put a known DNP in and a mid or a defender can just play. So this is Pat Cakes. This is where we get to the whole, there's more to it than that. Usually, I think basically it's if it has to be the right position, which is why people are like, maybe you should have more than one sub per lineup and all that stuff. Again, the can of worms is open and is significant. Krupti said, I did other and mentioned that they should do the same as the common game mode. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Yorkie Well said, these questions need to be separated for rare and limited. It's clear limited players are all about streaks, much less so in rare. So I'm not going to disagree with that, but also we don't really know. Like, the people that we don't talk to a majority of rare players, so we don't know how much streaks really matter versus leaderboard cash. But I do agree that it probably skews that way. Common game mode is rolling locks, late swap. Yeah, so I'm full-fledged out on that. Lamello, what's up? Hi, Andrew. I wrote so much in the survey that they're probably going to regret ever launching it. So once they finally finish reading Lamella's survey in 2027, maybe we'll have a solution. And lo and behold, Maxime, just do what every DFS product does and do dynamic locking would boost the market as well. So I don't think Maxime has any idea what Sorare is, but clearly is into DFS. No, I'm a hard no on that. And I appreciate why people think that's the right answer. But we're also using a product that really isn't growing much as the solution. And I feel like that's the wrong way to look at it. Like, DFS for the most part is not growing in the United States. And I don't think it's necessarily taking off anywhere else because no one else can run it. I think it's, yeah. And so that's the way to eliminate DNPs for sure. Like, to eliminate them is allow people to submit their players as late as possible. But it's also a way to significantly cap the number of people who are willing to play your game. There has to be some sort of some sort of path to have success while not being glued to your phone or computer. And I don't think I just don't think rolling locks works. And it's because I wouldn't want to do them. Krupti said the way you build lineups in the common game mode is you can change any player up until kickoff, and once the game kicks off, your player's locked. Yeah, I think I absolutely see the benefits in doing that. I also would hate it from a lifestyle standpoint. And that's important to me because of basically what the topic for today is. That we have to remember that we are all playing this game for fun. And before you're like, whoa, 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 I do this as an investment, which you shouldn't. But because we're playing for money, and anyone who says we're not playing for money is just kidding themselves, I guess, except for those who are just grinding the common game by themselves or by itself, excuse me. If this game was just about money, then I'm almost certain nobody would play it. And the reason I say that is that there are, I was going to say endless. I'll say endless. There are endless ways to make money. You can play Sorare. You can go work at McDonald's. You can try to flip trading cards. You can create some sort of business that does something for people. Who knows? You can make sourdough and sell it at farmers markets. Shout out to Harry Trades. And the reason that we play Sorare for money is because it should be fun. It is fun. It's fun owning these cards and trading them and trying to flip them and using them in lineups to try to win cash. And I feel like we're forgetting that fantasy sports are supposed to be fun. And they create these communities that allow us to have conversations about what players we think are going to do well this week, or which games might be canceled because of snow. And then it ultimately starts talking about things like halloumi and sleeping naked. And all of this is because we have fun doing it. And the reason why DNPs are so important is because they're the literal least fun thing on the platform. I won't even listen to a possible other option. And the reason why DNPs are so not fun, or at least the result of the DNPs, are that we stop paying attention. That if you have a really good lineup and you have a DNP, or even a lineup that hasn't even played yet, all the hope is on your side. And then all of a sudden, someone's not starting. Your response is to just close up shop. You send the email, or you send the GIF of somebody closing their laptop and throwing it out the window, or the guy smashing the monitor off his desk at work, or you just take your phone and it's like a GIF of somebody just chucking it into the water, and then you just wait 3 days to find out, 2 days, to find out that you got relegated, and now you can't win as much the next week. And it's all because of the fact that a player that completely unknown to anybody else other than the manager and the player wasn't going to play that game. And you spend hours trying to figure out which cards to get and which cards and how much to pay for them and which lineups to put them in, or which competitions and which division and which lineup. And then all of that work, excuse me, then you do all your research of, are they going to play? Is it a really good matchup, or are people just kind of thinking it might be incorrectly? Oh, it is a good one. Okay. And you finally put them together in a lineup, you get a DNP, and all of that time is gone is wasted. And it's wasted before you ever had fun. That's the point. Lineup sweat is the fun part of Sorare. Whether you track your lineups minute by minute, or you look at the end of the game week, knowing that you have a really good lineup that either hit a streak, high, low, medium, high streak, whatever, got high on the leaderboard. That's the fun part of So Rare. We all think it's like getting cards and everything, but then, nobody's actually lineup building is the most fun part. But like, I have a lot of fun accumulating cards. Like, I like getting new cards, but I particularly like that because then I can put them in a lineup and try to have success. And as long as they play, I have the hope that, hey, maybe I can win a couple $1,000 here. That's the fun part. And DNPs not only eliminate that fun hope, it negates all of the work that you did ahead of time. Gaza said, no subs for me and no rolling locks. People only moan about DNPs when they're in a strong lineup. So that's the point. Of course, they only moan about DNPs when they're in a strong lineup. That's when they hurt the most. That's what we're trying to avoid. When you have a strong lineup and you are on the top of the world and you're just thinking, wow, I can really do something here. And then you don't even get a chance to compete because the player's cousin is getting married that week and nobody had the decency to tell anyone before the game week started. D1872 said, I'm sticking with my you should only be able to sub players from the same collection in the same position. Might be stupid or harsh because you have to buy more players, etc. So the more I was also pro collection subs, but I've moved away from that based on a number of points that people have made, particularly like, what if there's no sub in that collection? Or that's really the biggest one. Sometimes players aren't minted, and then the player who comes in doesn't have a card, and then what do you do? Or your defender DNPs, and there's no other defender in the collection who's playing because a midfielder is actually playing defender, and it gets a little weird. David said, us as a community are making a lot of terrible ideas thinking it's great for So Rare, DNP as reward, and SO7 BS. Yorkie Will said, any scores for non-playing actions is a very dangerous, slippery slope, and I hate it. Mike Bass, and these were all a couple minutes ago. I apologize. I went on a rant there. 2 game versions, one with current regs, one with rolling locks. Pick your path, but can only enter one or the other, not both. Everyone knows what they signed up for, warts and all. Why can't you do both, Mike? Andrea said, rolling locks doesn't work. It's literally the only tested DNP solution, and most didn't enjoy it. Andreas, I don't think that's necessarily true because like the common game has it, and I think people are comfortable with it. Pico Player said, if rolling locks came in, we have to make a decision. It's either play So Rare as a job or get out of it. I don't think it's that bad, but you are all of a sudden making So Rare a significantly different experience for yourself throughout the weekend. I would rather keep DNPs than take the middle 3 options. That's how bad they are. That's the DNP is replaced by a score of 35, a score of 25, or a 10% card bonus. Sid, hello. Good to see you. Mike Baston's out of MLS if there's rolling locks. Maxime said, it has been determined already that So Rare is and will stay a niche product. You have to embrace it. Growth is over. So Maxime, I'm not going to disagree with that part. I would make the argument that rolling locks actually reduces the number of people who play. Is saying you shouldn't play for investment advice? Oh, it's a good question, Mike. Just to be clear, nothing in this show is investment or financial advice. And Holty said you can sell pictures of your feet. Yeah, you could do that if you, instead of playing So Rare for your money. Hey, Holty, if your significant other was a foot model, would you tell everyone that you were married to a model? Who said that yesterday? Was it Ryan? Do you think there is any situation where another growth spurt could occur? Absolutely zero. Oh man, Harry's already got his first sourdough customer. Mike, there were the Zora into the river wasn't it his laptop? Oh boy. Oh boy. Other people's DNPs are fun though. They're not though. Holty, you don't even know who has DNPs. Tom said, I realize I'm in the minority. For me, making money is an important aspect, playing Sorare or MFL or anything outside of my job. Maybe I should have been an accountant. Trying to make money is fun. Trying to turn one into two is just as fun as anything else. So, Tom, I don't think you're in the minority. I actually think we're all in that same position as you. I think we're all here to make money. And the reason that that is the case is because I don't think any of us real I'm sure there's some degens out there who are probably not degens out about what I'm based on what I'm about to say. I think there are plenty of people who would play Sorare for free. And if there were zero monetary rewards, I don't think I would. I'm certainly not buying cards and playing Sorare to not win anything. And so the reason why we play Sorare is because it's a fun way to make money. Like we would all rather make money in a fun way than a not fun way. Again, you can go clean people's houses for money. That doesn't mean all of us are lining up to do it. I absolutely hate cleaning my house. I do it. I don't get paid for it. If I got paid for it, I probably would still not do it because I would rather try to make the same money on Sorare. And the secret that we probably shouldn't say out loud, most people lose money on Sorare. Pat said, but there will be some sort of solution in place for MLS. That is clear now. Totally disagree, Pat. Totally disagree. Option one, right here. No change, keep as is. That is an option. Gaza said the fun went out of it when money is involved. DNP was never a talked issue 4 years ago. So totally disagree that it wasn't an issue, but it wasn't as big of an issue. You're right about that. We're making a bigger deal out of it now. And part of that is because we have a significantly more finite time frame of making this money that we're here to make. Alan said, I think you should have one sub card, but the sub score is half. So if the sub score is 100, you only get 50. This is to prevent manipulation of the system, but to still get some points on the board. Fair. Yeah, I totally disagree with any sort of penalty. I don't think it's necessary. And it's very easy to figure out a way to not manipulate the system. Gaza said, I would sell it if Rolling Locks came in. Sorare is a game, not a full-time job. That's how I feel. I'm not sure I would sell up because I'm just too lazy to do it. Yorkie said, yes, you're at a disadvantage, but you can play Rolling Locks exactly as you do now. I mean, the whole like you don't have to do it is a terrible response. Oro said, still watching from behind, but I have to say I like the option to add a player in case of a DNP, but you have to invest like €2 to do so. So they get more money and people that want no DNP have an option. Common in, so you're basically paying €2 to use your card. Common and pro are far from the same game. In common, you are never competing against anyone else. The implications are not the same. It didn't work for the UCL and pro, where it's literally the easiest to manage. You're absolutely right about that. You're wrong about not competing against anyone else in common. Like there's common arena, you know. Fraxy, why would a bench of one defender, one mid, and one forward be a bad idea? The amount of entries would also decrease as a bigger part of the player pool is used on each lineup. So Fraxy, between you and me, I think that's the right solution. Throw in a goalie there for all I care. The number of people who are like, you can't make all these people buy more cards to do that. You can. Make the benches optional. But again, go to your gallery, most people's gallery on a game week. And we can't actually do this. Shout out to Sorare Data, who used to be able to show this. Go to somebody's gallery and look at how many cards that they don't have in lineups. What about selling pictures of your feet to fund Sorare? Halligan, that's an interesting one. I think that's not financial advice, but that seems reasonable to me. I don't have great looking feet, so I can't do that. But Liam said, just my 2 pence worth. I resent rolling locks, and I'm vehemently against all solutions. DNPs are part of fantasy games. Liam, they are not. DNPs are part of Sorare. They are not part of all fantasy games. They are very, very much not part of lots of fantasy games. If we have subs, we don't need rolling locks, says Cliptography. I agree. Both is unnecessary. Holty is married to a model. Here we go. It's upside for all of us who play Sorare. ZM Star said, people saying the rolling locks are a full-time job. Last I checked, games do not kick off every hour for 12 hours straight. Games have 2 times for the most part. ZM Star, you don't play enough Sorare. This is a dead game week for me, but I mean, come early spring when we have K-League and J-League, I'll have cards starting all over the place. Where can I do this? Scores. So 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 9:30, 10, 10:15, 10:30, 11, 12, 12:30, 12:45, 2, 2:45, 3. These are all, you can see, not all of them I have players in, but I do. 8, I was going to say, I don't have MLS, so there's nothing late. I think, there are games on all the time. What are we talking about here? I don't know where this full-time job part comes from with late locks. Maybe you're just overexposed at that point. Overexposed, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I will push back on this full-time job thing because I don't think it's that serious. The reason, and I've said this before, and I will say it until they have a solution. The reason I don't like rolling locks is because currently I have to make sure my lineups are ready to go, for my time at least, 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays and 1 o'clock on Fridays. Those are the 2 times. And between us, I rarely make changes between 10 and 1. And I'll bitch about those DNPs when they come in that I miss news in there. But the reason I don't want them is I don't want to have to check my lineups at very specific times throughout a weekend. I go outside quite regularly. Sometimes I leave my house to go inside somewhere else, but I participate in activities that I don't want to be interrupted in with by, you need to check your lineup. I want no part of that. No, like none. I want my time to be my time, not let me check on Sorare time. And I'm willing to check Sorare throughout the weekend on my own time. I don't want alarms going off all the time to make sure that my players are starting. And you're like, oh, get a notification. It's only 3 seconds, 3 minutes, let's call it. Sometimes I don't have the 3 minutes before the game starts. Zhao said, DNPs are bad for me, and they were even worse when I had a few cards. When I played with 2 or 3 teams, many times the game week would end on Friday with a DNP. I didn't even look at Sorare anymore. So it's really funny because the advantage to having more lineups is you have more shots of full lineups instead of just, like Zhao said, when you have 2 lineups and you have 2 DNPs, like, you're dead. So if you're trying to make money, how can you accept playing a game not willing to make sure it's at least as random as other gambling products? Early deadlines make the game so random uselessly. I don't. it's funny because I feel like the randomness is equal. Like we all have the same deadline, and so that makes the randomness equal. Liam said, as someone who attends games at stadiums that don't have any signal at all, rolling locks are an absolute catastrophe for me. Sure, there you go. Perfect example. Whereas subs allow you to prepare on the way to a game or the day before. Most of us are not here to make real money. The money part of the game, though, is what makes it fun. So, Surface, I take issue with this because I think a vast majority of people are here to make money. Just because we're not making thousands of dollars or life-changing money anymore doesn't mean you're not here to make money. Most people use money to bet on sports, and they're not making life-changing money. Usually they're losing life-changing money. But we're all here to make money because that's how you keep score. That's how you know you're doing well in the game. How much money did I put in? How much money do I have now? Is the second number bigger than the first? I'm doing well. Is the second number lower than the first? And we use this whole like, yeah, but my cards are still worth so much, X amount. So it's actually, I am winning. And if the second amount is 0, we just haven't won yet. But it is very important. Divisions and streaks are a big reason why DNPs are more of a pain now. I forgot about divisions. You're right. Josh said it's a bigger deal now because the nature of the game itself has massively changed. Teams do wildly more rotation because of increased number of games a year, different squad sizes, etc. Yep. Good afternoon. No prem, no fun. Yeah, Philly Dilly. It's time for a little break. Cliptography said subs allow people to play equally no matter the time zones, which I think is a right. I think that's an appropriate way to look at it. Surface said DNPs have always been an issue, but I think with gradual change over the last few years to divisions, in-season streaks, etc., DNPs are worse than they used to be, and they should try SO5 plus 1 sub. I don't like having to have 8-man teams, says the guy who plays a bunch of 7-man teams. I would also allow chained subs so I can enter my second team in a comp whilst they are subs for my first team and so on and so forth. I'm all out on that, but I understand why you would want that. Alan said, but what if you get a Lamine Yamal subbed in instead of a goalkeeper DNP? It's not really fair, is it? That's manipulation of the system. How do they prevent that? They prevent it by saying if you don't have a sub goalkeeper, then you get a DNP. Again, we're not eliminating all DNPs. We're just eliminating a vast majority of them. DNPs are not part of fantasy games. FPL, the biggest fantasy football game, have multiple subs. True. And even a goalkeeper. You're right. Sam said, if DNPs are removed, what happens to streaks? They'll be hit more often. Sorare would have to reduce the payout levels. I don't know. I've yet to see anybody with the evidence that the streak payouts would be significantly higher if the DNPs were removed. And if it's the case, I would love to see it. And if Sorare wanted to leak that to somebody and do it like, hey, we did the math, but we can't say it ourselves, you know where to find me. No matter what Sorare decide to do, people will still complain, so they're in a no-win situation. Yes, that is the case. But that hasn't stopped them from making decisions like this before. I'll go back to SO7. Nobody asked for SO7. And we were told that they would trial it, see what it was like. And with 0 trials, SO7 became the standard and classic. Halligan said, I have so many cards every game week that are 70% to start. So this is 70% according to one person. And they just rot in my gallery. With subs, they would all have so much more utility. In FPL, you can only sub goalkeeper for goalkeeper, and you can't sub in a striker for a defender if the formation becomes 2-5-3 and so on. They have a good system. How do you fix something similar on Sorare, do you suggest? The solution is your sub can't be out of, like, I think multiple subs is the solution, or one sub and we just eat the DNP otherwise. Meaning, if you want to play a risky player who's a midfielder, make your sub a midfielder. And if the midfielder doesn't play, then you're set. And if you have a defender and you already had 2 defenders in your lineup, then you're beat. Again, we're trying to eliminate most DNPs, not all of them. If we wanted to eliminate all of them, we go to rolling lock, or we go to late swap. Josh Tiley, hello. How much money do you put into play FPL? That's why there are subs. Why would a free game allow you to have subs? What I do like about rolling locks is that it's actually anti-whale. It creates a lot more work for them. Small galleries have much less to check. I do love this like underlying belief that whales just like won't do the work. Josh said you should get given a set number of wild cards, say 3 per game week, and you can only use 1 wild card per lineup. Once your 3 are used, that's it. So you still have to be tactical. When would you decide to use them? This is my new water bottle, and I don't know how to drink out of it because it has a straw and a spout at the same time. It's very confusing to me. I'm not a big straw guy, but maybe this is turning me into one. Owala, if you would like to sponsor this show, I'm looking for sponsors. I do this as MLS solution and not a Sorare solution. I think if it's a success in MLS, it absolutely becomes a full Sorare solution. Gully World is on collection-based subs. If you have the player replaces the DNP, comes in automatically. No scoring changes, no paying to play own cards. Collections get much needed level up in scarcity, in my opinion. So yeah, what do you do if there's no sub in the collection? I agree 100% with you, Laird, on the rolling lock explanation. I should screenshot this. Hold on. Love these people agreeing with me. I'm with Laird on the rolling locks. Don't mind it for a Euro midweek football, but in general, it would be a nightmare for me with all the time zones covered. And Anion said, all the people I got into the game over the past year only play Sorare because they watch the games, and for them, late swaps would be so good because they only follow 1 or 2 leagues and watch the games otherwise. But like, again, you're forcing people to check in all the time. Like, how many Premier League slots are there? 5 or 6 per weekend? With the occasional Friday and the occasional Monday? Like, that's not nothing. And again, if you're at one of the games, how do you respond? Like, if you're at one of the games during the biggest time block, and there's no service, why should you be penalized for being at the game? Gaza said, I don't agree with subs, but if they could do it right, but if they could do it right, so it can't be exploited or manipulated and it's fair for everyone, then maybe I can get on board. Chow said, I already have a DNP. Matsima was 90% to play, and now he's out. Quinny, good to see you, sir. Holty said that one experience of European nights when all the games played at the same time was enough for me. Very stressful. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the fact that it's like stressful to do late swaps. Alan said the only thing with DNPs is if you scout better, you get less DNPs. And the person who doesn't spend time scouting gets the DNPs, so it's a skill issue to some degree. It's such a minute skill issue that I don't even want to address it. It's absurd. It's absurd because there are. I would even argue that most DNPs are not because of poor scouting. I want the handcuff subs. I'm sold now. Give it to me. What do you mean by this, Yorkie? Like the one for each? Lamella said the simplest solution is optional roll for roll substitution to make the game more fun. No penalties needed. Caps are optional. I'm out on caps. And the whale advantage wouldn't really increase since being pay to win. Was there more to that? I lost it. If subs came in, I believe a penalty should be applied because why should I get all my 5 right, but someone who doesn't still gets the same chance? Also, I think if subs are rolling locks, no hot streaks. I don't understand the point of the penalty. Like you just getting all 5 of yours right and someone else having a DNP that's completely unknown. This isn't skill. It's pure luck that you happen to get your 5 right and the other person didn't. It was good luck for you, bad luck for them. Quinny said they would raise the targets rather than nerf the payout, in my opinion. I think he's right about that. I think reducing the payouts would be a significantly bigger negative to people than just raising the targets. Andrew, come on, streak payouts would without a doubt be higher with subs. Again, I'm not doubting it, but I'd like to see by how much. And are we buying more cards because now we have to have subs? Are they making more money because we're buying subs? And if they're making more money, you better believe we're going to ask for bigger rewards. DNPs must save Sorare money on streaks. I would buy more cards if I needed. So if there were subs, I'll just talk about myself. I am buying more cards just in case. But I'm not playing them in lineups. Like I'm not getting any more opportunities to win. I still have my 4 lineups, and those are the 4 that I'm going in. No DNPs, great. But I probably spent more on the extra cards for these subs than they're going to end up paying out. SO7 was implemented to destroy classic utility, so sure, they wouldn't test it or ask if people want it. But Maxime, they said they were going to test it. I agree with you. I don't think it was implemented specifically to destroy classic utility. In season did that, but the bigger issue was that they told us they were going to test it, and then they just implemented it. Peter said, at first, when I had a small gallery, I was against DNP solutions. As my and other galleries get bigger, the subs become more obvious. Yeah. Yep. I believe whales will do the work. I just want them to have to do it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Captain Sweatpants is doing the work. You're right, Mike, for sure. In fact, I believe Captain Sweatpants is affectionately PSU fans too. I believe Sean said that if they went to rolling locks, there is no person on the platform that benefits more than Sean. Not rolling locks. Rolling locks. Yeah. I think FPL subs is the most fair solution. Once there's a solution, I don't want DNPs anymore. I would be mad if my defender gets injured in the warm-up, but I only have a midfielder sub. Then you have 4 subs per lineup. Well, it would reasonably only be 3 because you have your flex and then 1 position. So you really only need 1 for, like, if you had 2 midfielders in your lineup. Oh no, I guess you wouldn't need. Yeah. So the solution is 4. Jack Charlesworth. That's a great name. It is rather worrying that when preparing a list of 5 options to deal with DNPs, this is the best 5 they could come up with. I don't know if this is the best 5 they could come up with. For all we know, these are the 5 most popular ones that they've been given. Like there are endless solutions out there, but maybe these are the most popular ones that they've seen. Yorkie Will said, I get really annoyed at the whole anti-players, large galleries, or anti-people that buy the top cards. They spend the big money. Why should they not benefit from that? I don't disagree. Koos J said, it's not about your gallery size. It's more utility. It's to cover the unforeseen DNPs that's unfair to everyone. One sub or five subs, everyone has the same chance. You still face only 5 cards that count. Boom. Exactly. Why can't I sub Haaland for Salah? I bought them both. Salah's at AFCON. It doesn't work. I know I'm just joking. Pedugol said, this isn't a perfect solution. For me, the most reasonable one would be subs from the same collection, and it shouldn't be mandatory to have them. Ad sell service is now a point in the no column. Sorry, I'm still a couple minutes behind of the chat. Is it more or less of a minute skill issue than buying cards early so you have 1% more XP than the other guy? I'm not sure I understand what that means. Most DNPs these days are because of Sorare's own percentage offered. That's funny. Jack said, I'd love to know the percentage of DNPs that would be considered unavoidable. I'm sorry. Considered avoidable, i.e., sufficient enough information available before the deadline versus those that aren't. I think someone out there should track the DNPs on a weekend. And meaning we don't have like impact players anymore, but basically look at the most popular, DNPs, and were they known? Were they avoidable or not? Gully.world, skill issue is one of the laziest arguments. Sorry, plenty of Sorare degens get DNPs and their skill seems decent. Uro said, sometimes I like DNPs because with a smaller gallery, when Zolas is randomly out, I have a better chance to win. If you want to put a reserve, make it cost essence maybe. How about we try to win because our players score the most points against somebody else's points? Sid said the Pedri DNP is a perfect example a couple of weeks back. No one knew up until the press conference, which was well past the La Liga deadline. Yep. Blue Tomatoes, hello. Luck is part of life, but someone would enter a DNP so that they could sub someone better in unless the sub is locked beforehand. So the way I think, and Andreas is on this boat as well, not that that makes it right, but I think the subs just have to be set before the deadline. Like we all have to have the same deadline for subs. And if you want to play a DNP with the sub coming in, just play the sub. But it's also, how about this? And I imagine this is going to bother a few people as well. I think it's more fun to be able to play a player who is 50% to play and have the safety of a sub in case they don't, than to not play that player at all. Too much of this game is making lineups of players who are most likely to play and not the players who are the most likely to score more points than everyone else. Fantasy sports are not games. They're not lineup predicting games. We're supposed to do this research to figure out who are going to be the best scoring players in any specific game, not who's going to play. We've all made suboptimal lineup decisions because one guy is 90% to play and one guy is 70%. Or you have the 60%. Messi throughout the whole season, it felt like. Maybe not the whole season. But the instances of like, oh man, Messi may not play this week. So you don't play him. And then he rips 100 because he did play. Isn't it more fun if you had Messi to at least have him in your lineup, knowing if he doesn't play, well, you have somebody else. And everyone without Messi is like, no, that's awful. If you want to take a risk like that, you shouldn't be saved from it. But what's more fun? In the winter update, they talk about more money moving to streaks and less on the leaderboard, just so everyone remembers that. Good call, ZM Star. Yorkie Will said, "This is the most mental I have ever seen the chat. It's so fast. Feel like I'm watching Tim the Tat Man." I'm still 7 minutes behind on the chat, so I apologize. Are you buying classic cards for your sub plays or buying in-season cards? Only one makes so rare money. I don't know. If it's an in-season lineup, then I assume you'll need an in-season card to do it. Do you think you would actually buy more cards or just get more utility out of the cards you already own by using them as a sub? Jack, phenomenal question. So the way that I would answer this is I buy extra cards for collections a lot because I think having like 5% collection bonus makes my cards more powerful. I'm more likely, so basically what I do is I will buy the, I'm trying to think of like sporting. I buy Trincao, I buy Inacio, I buy Rui Silva, and then once I get the guys that I want, Holman and a couple of whatever, I'll buy the lowest guys, the cheapest ones, just to fill the collection out. If subs were a thing, I think I would end up buying kind of the middle tier guys because if they're more likely to sub in, that's who I want in my collection. Is the weather a matter of skill? I shouldn't have to scout the snow and rain over the world. Of course it's a skill. Of course. Hear me out, classic subs. Maxime, come on. Come on. Classic subs for classic competitions, I'm sure works. If that's the solution, you'd be entering 8 or 9 players per lineup. Can we stop pretending like 8 is so much different than 7? But yes, Gaza, you would. Alan said, in FPL, I usually win my mini leagues because I scout better than my opponents, in that I include injury updates, press conferences, weather, everything that could happen. That's what I meant with skill. I think it's unfair to compare FPL mini leagues with Sorare. I don't think they're the same thing. Just want to applaud everyone within this convo for keeping it civil and adult. That's what we do here, Mike. Does classing a DNP as avoidable include having to subscribe to multiple Patreons, Discords, etc.? Ryan Dino, just do the work that the Patreon people are doing yourself. I do love that though. Like, is checking someone else's projected lineup considered doing your own research? Oh my God, yes. Let me play 50% starters. Like, that's more fun. There's no way you will convince me otherwise. That if I have a Lionel Messi card and I'm not sure he's going to play, I want to be able to celebrate if he plays. Not be furious that he plays because I didn't play him because he was 50% to play and then he just goes nuts. David said, I prefer a DNP once in a while than the need to achieve 400 points for $3 every week because later we will cry about the difficulty in streaks. Again, I'd like to see the math. I'm not willing to do the work, but I'd like to see the math of how much more they would be paying out if we had a sub option. And again, if we have sub options, I think we can all agree we're probably buying more cards. Having a sub benefits whales a lot more, in my opinion, because they can bring in a huge score if one of them doesn't play, and they can afford that other guy to just be a backup. Most people can't. Uros, thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. So let's say you're a whale and you have a lineup of Courtois, Heisen, Pedri, Yamal, and Mbappe. And your sub is, I feel like I've run out of all the elite players. Who do we have left? Yamal, Mbappe, Rafinha, whatever. Rafinha is your sub. And Mbappe doesn't play, Rafinha comes in. But what if Mbappe plays? Now that's a Rafinha that is not in the competition at all. I think it's the most overlooked thing when people talk about like whales buying all these extra cards to use as subs, is that a vast majority of the time they will not be used. And if you are taking those types of cards out of the competition, that is a huge benefit to non-whales. You guys also forget managers lie like rugs now, looking directly into the camera. What hope do we have? The deadline sometime is just before the pressers too. Subs will change markets big times. There are rotation teams like Chelsea that people don't touch, with DNPs, Gusto, Fofana, James all back in vogue. Is that bad or good? That seems like a huge positive to me. I'm not going to buy Chelsea players because they have too many. Or I can buy Reece James because Malo Gusto because I know I'll get one of them. That feels like a positive to me. The number of people that complain about the percentage being wrong is laughable. They aren't official. They are educated guesses. I think Sorare should ditch them entirely and only have suspensions and injuries listed. I can't get into that today. What is wrong with Sorare making money? Such a dumb thing to not want Sorare to make money when you see the figures they have told us over previous years. I mean, there are 5 million people who play this game. The money's fine. The weather forecast is readily available. Skill issue. Hatlingen, terrible. Can't wait for them turning in season SO7 as well. I would love SO5 Classic back, but with 4 subs, said Rico Mon. I'm all in on that one. I love that idea. Mike, I get what you're doing here, but come on. Come on. Isn't doing your own research at some level checking what someone else said? Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely. I'm on the side of checking someone else's projected lineup is doing your own research, but I know some people are like, oh, they didn't do any research. They just looked at the lineup projection. It's like, so what is doing your own research anymore now? When we see the math, it'll be too late. Too late for what? The real no said is having a Nottingham Forest collection on 5% just so I can play a boosted Palmeiras goalkeeper, Carlos Miguel, in all 4 of my contender lineups considered cheating. Isn't that what you can do that right now? Why is that cheating? But you would need 4 Carlos Miguel cards. There is no 50%, unfortunately. Sorare lets us only do 60 or 40. I mean, yeah, there's some more like arbitrary numbers that Jack said, I think the basic answer to your question of whether introducing subs would result in more streaks being paid out is if they didn't, people who wouldn't be complaining about, I'm sorry, hold on. Basic answer is if they didn't, people who wouldn't be complaining about DNPs in the first place. I don't think anybody's complaining about DNPs because of the amount of money that's being paid out. Francisco said, keep it as is. Otherwise, Wales will have monster clubs. Will always have a great player to sub in. So, I mean, I kind of addressed that a couple minutes ago, that for the most part, that benefits us. Getting the info right about injuries is very complicated. Soccer isn't made for fantasy. I guess that would be one less Rafinha out there, but it makes it significantly harder to get a podium. Last season, I think Espanyol semi-stack won first place. Mbappe was DNP. Those lineups give me hope. But like those that may have won even if Mbappe played. Like Mbappe is just one player. What if they made a new game mode with subs? I mean, they can't even make league-specific arenas. I'm not sure we can ask for new game modes now. And Espanyol stack 1D1 this season too. Yeah, there you go. Mike, I made it to the end of the chat. So ha. But I appreciate how entertained everyone is from this. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because I wanted to focus more on the fun part of it. As we've just witnessed over the last 67 minutes, like there are plenty of solutions out there, whether or I don't even want to call them solutions because that makes it sound like we've actually solved the problem. There are plenty of things that they could do. And the reason why, sorry, hold on. Ede said SO5 with 4 subs and rolling locks for all comps. Give people the choice of how to play. If you enter subs in a lineup, you cannot use rolling lock option. Yeah, I'm all out on that. If anybody has a rolling lock option, then you're at a disadvantage if you don't use it. It's as simple as that. What is your opinion to the 35-point auto sub? Sorry if already answered. I think it's incredibly stupid. I think you shouldn't get 35 points for someone not playing. We build these lineups and we have an expectation that what a player does on the field is what allows us to score on the leaderboard. And getting 35 points for not playing is the exact opposite of what we wanted to do. Jack said, I may have missed this, but why are you not a fan of rolling locks? Just curious. I just don't want to have to be, I don't want to have to address Sorare at multiple specific times throughout a weekend. It's a completely selfish reason. But that's why. So the reason why I brought this up, why I'm like focusing on this fun aspect, is because, and a lot of you who watch me regularly know that I play football.fun also. And one of the bigger differences with football.fun is because there are no lineups, the DNPs don't hurt as much because you can just like, all right, I'll just use that player next time. And it's not even the DNP that ruins the player that you have. So like if you own shares of Mbappe and he doesn't play and you're just like, man, I don't get to like cheer for Mbappe this week. But because it's completely player based and there are no lineups, Mbappe being out doesn't kill 4 to 6 other players that I have. It's literally one of the most important things for me on that platform and why I play it. That I like this midweek, I had Jonathan David shares. And most people who play, or probably everyone who plays football.fun knows that Jonathan David is terrible and has never really done anything. But he was the top scoring forward this past tournament. Here he is. Number 1. I don't own any Jonathan David cards on Sorare. But like if I had Jonathan David in a lineup, it probably wasn't going to be the top one. But if I had him in a lineup with, Ollie Watkins and Watkins was terrible, now I just like waste that Jonathan David score. Sorry. Yorkie Will said, I think I commented on your tweet explains how I feel, which is what you're saying now. I want a horse in the race. I want to play and be involved. That's all it is. And so I just want to be able to play. I just want to be able to see a player that I own shares of, well, and have them succeed and I win because of it. Like that's what fantasy sports are. We identify the players who are in good situations and we either pick them on our team, we buy their card, we buy their shares, whatever it is. And we want to be able to say, I succeeded in this game because of my scouting. That's skill. There's the skill issue right there. Jonathan David, there's no skill here. I just forgot to sell the shares and I happened to get them in a founder's pack. But then it works out. And I'm just going to actually open my packs right now. You have the numbers of how many people are reaching Streak 5 in the same regions. The numbers are really low. With a DNP solution, that goal is going to be even higher than the problem. Yeah, Oh, then the problem is not going to be the DNP, but the scores. Again, we don't know what a DNP solution will do to their will do to streaks and everything. We just don't know. We don't have them. We don't have the math readily available. All right, so I'm at 9,936 tournament points, which is infuriating because you need 5,000 for a legendary pack, and I only open legendary packs. But let me open this one while we're all here. Let's get a banger because we're on stream. Danny Olmo, bad start. Due, Fabian Ruiz, I do love him. And Trafford. Wow, that's like one of the worst packs I've ever seen. Okay. So now I got to cut someone because I don't have enough tournament points. And I just absolutely can't stand Danny Olmo. 207, that's enough. Yeah. But I'm going to cut Trafford. Yeah. Putting lineups together is fun, though. So, Holty, I'll get into that in a second. I don't disagree with you, but I think we're misunderstanding what the fun part of it. All right, here's our banger pack. I was just complaining that I won $150 right there for a midweek, thanks to Jonathan David. Kimmich, bang. Here we go. Here we go. Vitinha. Gahey, not bad. Dean Henderson. $315 pack I just opened. What was that? Roughly just under $500 of rewards. Thanks to Jonathan David and a couple other players. Hell yeah. Let's go. Who's playing today? Kimmich isn't playing this week, right? And Ligon's off, Prem's off, Barcelona's off. So basically none of these guys. So I can just promote whoever I want. Actually, I'm like literally, I can't stand Danny Olmo. So I will sell those shares. $35 of Olmo. BVB only, yeah. Let's just get Olmo out. $33.88. Contrarian take, we'd have more fun with fewer lineups. So I actually don't think that's overly contrarian, Behab. But I think the issue is when you have fewer lineups, the DNPs hurt more. And was it Zhao before who was saying kind of a similar thing, that when you only have 2 or 3 lineups and you would get a DNP in 1 or 2 of them, it hurts because you're dead. It's not like you have any other options. But maybe the argument is that you like feel them differently. You have more passion for each lineup, and maybe that's a positive. I don't know for sure, though. I have the most fun by far when I have the most lineups in all leagues play. All right, so Andreas is just whatever. He's on team. Each lineup is fun, and so more lineups is more fun. It feels so significantly less fun having 30 lineups when you can have excitement from 80. All right, both of those numbers are huge. I mean, this past game week. So again, and it's because I play both. But this midweek, these were the 2 lineups I had. This one finished 2 points from a reward, which is hilarious because I was winning everything, or I was winning something until today. This one's 35 points to safety because Wrench didn't play because I clearly didn't. I would have never put him in a lineup if he was anything less than 80% to play, but whatever. So these were my lineups. So I got nothing. And I had Doku here. Oh man, there's the perfect example between the two. So like Doku here got a clearance off the line, I'm sorry, drew a penalty. Of course he didn't get a clearance off the line. Doku draws a penalty, scores 84 points in this lineup. Garner 66, Cherky captain 56, didn't start. My gosh, didn't start and still gets to. Why is this saying? Oh, because he was a captain. 2 big chances created. My God, what a game he could have had. Modric 61. Nobody was that good. Mikolenko, Providel, Trufer. So I'm like, man, I wasted this Doku score. Not here. In this one, Doku was the second highest scoring forward. So I won 1,300 tournament points. Like these two combined almost got me like David and Doku combined almost got me a legendary pack. Like the one that I just opened that was $350. Like from a fun perspective, this is all and forget the fact that this is literally called football.fun. But from a fun perspective, which one of these seems more fun? When this has a DNP that now I'm in Division 2 for this weekend. Again, I don't have any idea what happened to Wrench. And it's probably bad that I don't care enough to look. But I think the problem, and this isn't a DNP thing. This is a whole nother thing of like bad scores ruining other lineups. Or bad scores ruining good scores in lineups. But and Ede said Sorare all day. What is it about that part that makes it more fun? Wait, I wanted to go back to, was it Holty? Putting lineups together is fun. So I like talking about this because I also like putting lineups together for the most part. But I think I like it because of the hope that you think about while making them. And it's not the actual making of the lineups, but maybe it is. Maybe making lineups is fun. The simplicity of setting lineups in FDF makes it less fun as a whole. Well, setting lineups is not part of it. Like you're not setting lineups. That's the whole point of it, actually. That instead of which combinations of my players should I put together, it's which players should I have. Like I can't just go out and buy another Doku easily. I mean, I'm sure there are cards available. What does a new Doku cost? Even a classic, since I was playing a classic competition. $104. So like if I don't have $100 and I want to play rare, let's even go to limited. What is he, 30 maybe? 23? If I don't have $23, or if I only have $23, now I have to go buy Doku. Now I can't buy anything else, whereas I can buy $25 worth of Doku here. I don't know. It feels like, at least on the and like I'm not here like pushing football.fun on everybody here. Like obviously I play it, I enjoy it, that's why I play it. But it feels like it addresses kind of one of the major issues that I have with Sorare, which are these like it's a combination of DNPs and the fact that an SO7 lineup, like I didn't want to play these two defenders. I just wanted to play one of them. I didn't even realize Di Lorenzo scored. I could have had a good lineup here somewhere, no? Maybe not. I don't know. Putting together my best lineup is fun. Putting together my second best, third best, fourth best, etc., becomes a chore I feel obligated to do. Otherwise, I'm wasting money. I think that's right. Skill issue. I think this is actually a really good point. That we all, and this kind of just, it doesn't ignore it, but it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't bring up the fact that there are plenty of times where our second, third, or fourth lineup is actually the one that wins. And it's not the first one. Maybe that's the skill issue. But maybe, I mean, Behab, how many lineups do you end up putting out in MLS, during MLS and not during MLS? Like I don't even know how many lineups. I don't have many lineups this game week. 2, 4, no Goldens, 6, 8, 9. Now, I said to Harry privately earlier this morning that I think this time right now, like this time of year, is the absolute worst for Sorare. Um, just from my own playing perspective, because I don't play the Prem and I don't have SPFL. So all the leagues that are playing now, like I just don't have a lot of cards, which is why you see random lineups. Like this one on the screen, 2 guys from AFCON, 2 guys from Eredivisie, and 3 from Liga MX. Also, that's why Sorare will stay a niche product. You need to have a lot of time on your hands to manage a large gallery, like a lot of time. Absolutely. So 30 to 40 lineups. Yeah, like nobody's I was going to say nobody's 35th lineup is as fun to put together as their first, but nobody's fifth lineup is as fun as their first. And I totally agree with you that you feel like you're losing money if you don't submit your lineups. But that doesn't make it an enjoyable experience. But again, like I really like playing, like I like putting lineups together for the most part. I like accumulating cards. I like looking for different cards to buy. I like being able to use um, 2 cards from River Plate that of 2 guys in Mexico now. Like I love that part of it. The cards are actually very important to me on Sorare. The lineups actually feel less important, which is funny because that's the most important part. But if you want to continue to grow on Sorare, there is a very clear line, or the excuse me, the 2 circles on the Venn diagram of having needing time and spending money are it gets closer. At some point, it's just one circle. That the more Sorare you want to do it, it is inevitably way more time. And there are other products that just aren't like that. And that doesn't even like count of how much time I would be spending on subs. But I'd be willing to spend that time if it helped eliminate a lot of DNPs. Anyway, that's what I had to talk about today. Having fun. Which is like unfortunate that this all came at a time where I find that Sorare less fun now because I have so few lineups. I'll kind of disagree with Behab about fewer lineups would be more fun, but I think it's more this time of year when I have fewer lineups, it feels less fun because I'm just not doing anything. I'm not buying cards to make lineups during this time of year. I did buy a card today actually, and then I don't think I ended up putting it in a lineup, which is hilarious. Actually, did I not even put one in? Yeah, I bought 2 cards today. Didn't even put them in lineups because I was trying to do it in arena, and then oh, he scored. Let's go. Look how smart I am. Look at that. 2 Crependiatas, captain both, and he scores a goal. Or no, assist. Or no. Is that a last man tackle? Wow, it is. I have one lineup this weekend and it's awful. Yeah. But I'm also not like going out of my way to buy cards to play now. But the more and more that I play other games, and it's funny that this this came up or this comes up now because I was talking to Mike Baston earlier and he was asking me about whether I was going to do anything for the 1-year anniversary of the Laird Social Club. And I was saying to him that it's not till March when I left Sorare Data. And it's funny that Maxime is here. And I actually went back and um, and started watching some of the video when I announced that I was leaving Sorare Data. And one of the things I reference in it is that I was starting to play other games. And I think MFL was one of them. And I wanted to do content on other games that wasn't just Sorare. And the more I started playing other games, the more I focused on why I play them and what's enjoyable about other games. And MFL is actually very different than Sorare or Football.Fun because it's not a fantasy game. And I played fantasy games for decades. And so the difference, like I have a very clear difference between MFL and those games. But one of the things that playing MFL and doing content, or eventually doing content on MFL, did was kind of open my eyes to what I find enjoyable about different platforms, what I have fun doing and what I don't have fun doing. And it kind of exposes me to things that I find frustrating or just not fun on other platforms. And the DNP thing just jumps out on Sorare because that's the moment where I know that I go from really excited to a lineup and I see the DNP and it's just like it's an immediate drop. Whereas if a player plays poorly, it's like, all right, I made it process over results. Maybe it was the right play and they just didn't perform well. But like not even being able to have a chance is just so deflating. And if I'm playing these games to have fun and not to say a lot of these games have money involved and making money is how we know we're doing well. But if I'm not enjoying it, maybe my money should be used somewhere where I am enjoying it. And that's why I just become very cognizant on what I'm enjoying about each platform and why I inevitably end up comparing at least two fantasy platforms that I play and recognizing what's fun and not. Yorkie Will said, I'll have to watch some of your FDF streams because I never went near it as it screamed footy index to me. So Yorkie Will, I'm happy to talk to you about football.fun like separately as well. But there is a stream with Adam, their founder, that I did with him. He was a huge football index player. He did a ton of content on it as well. And we have a very open conversation of what he learned from football index that they have addressed with football.fun. Also, you can sell at the 30th minute if you want. Also true. A friend of mine sold David right before his two decisives. I mean, like, why even sell at that point? Although I guess he got more, like his price went up. Like he's been, yeah. So, I mean, like, if you bought him down here and sold here, I get it. But then we all don't get reward packs with Kimmich, Vitinha. I forget who the other one was. Dean Henderson and someone. Yeah. Do you think the 3 and 4 lineups per comp is the bigger issue, not DNPs? No. In fact, I would almost make the argument. Do I want to make this argument? I understand. Feels like the complaints only really happened after we got that. No, I think it's the I think it's divisions and relegations that make it really hard. I'll watch with all my spare time this weekend. Perfect. I don't know exactly how I feel about it yet, but I'm leaning towards unlimited lineup entries. I understand. I actually don't know if I understand why they do it. I think there's this whole, like, you don't want to have to compete with Pranksy and Bambi who have like 20 lineups, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to figure out why we didn't get DNP moaning as much in the early days when the stakes were even higher. It's the in-season DNPs. That's why. Because most of your in-season cards they don't lose utility at the end, but most of them didn't, most in-season cards really have their cash winning utility over the course of one season. And then their values significantly drop and then they have to be used in competitions that are significantly harder to win. And so the reason why we complain when they don't play is because there's just a very finite number of games that they're going to be having the ability to win cash on as a group. And when you miss one, then it really hurts. The in-season model is the problem, not DNPs. So we should be moaning at that and finding solutions for that. In-season just exasperated it. Yeah, I think I don't know. Andy and I talked about it yesterday, whether the OG So Rare could have existed. I don't know if the in-season model is the solution. I'm not even sure if So Rare know, but I know that the old system didn't work. And I kind of agree with Yorkie Will here that the in-season is essential to So Rare now. Although I do have separate thoughts on the choice to split in-season versus classic. Behab, we really got to figure out how to get you on. In-season was the solution for So Rare not going under. So it was a solution for So Rare not going under. And I don't have another solution because I can't, of course I've thought about it, but I'm not like a game designer nor a game economist, but that is certainly true. Yeah. Like So Rare goes under without it. Are we deep enough into the season to say Arena ain't the one? No, not at all. I think we're not far enough into Arena to say it ain't the one. I think if they could figure out, let me order a webcam real quick. Yeah, there we talk. Don't forget a mic. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that love Arena. I don't know, and I think it was a reasonable classic solution. I just think they need to make it more exciting, or more personal is not the right word, but customizable. I think the biggest reason it all comes back to the Prem, which is funny because like when Prem was such a big thing in So Rare, in OG So Rare, and then they got it and it felt like everything went downhill from there. But I think there is a problem when you have people buy in-season Premier League cards to compete against other Premier League in-season cards for cash. And at the end of the season, they can no longer do that. That they don't have the utility of always competing against Premier League cards. And I don't think they're bringing classic Premier League back, but being able to have Premier League arenas allow people to still compete against other Premier League cards. And it obviously works for any competition, but the Prem's the biggest one. So that's why. Charlie said they had 5 months. Arena is Arena. It's not changing drastically. It was fun at the start, but it's just a place for dead teams now. What do you mean by a place for dead teams? I feel like you're just lighting Essence on fire if you're doing that. Sean Kernigan. God, we have so many Seans. I think Arena would improve a lot if you could claim it once the teams were done, not after the game weekends. I think that's a good point. Yeah. It does seem weird that they make you wait. Since like streaks can be claimed right as soon as 30 minutes after the last game that are in your lineup. Dead teams meaning if I get a DNP, I put the rest of the guys in Arena. Oh, okay. So it's like it's not really the graveyard. It's like whoever's left from. It's like the people at the funeral go into a lineup. I don't know. But I don't even do that. Like if I have a DNP in a lineup, I let it rot. Again, that's another thing, like the time that I'm not willing to interrupt during the weekend. If I have a DNP and now I have guys who haven't played, like I don't want to go through the process of making an Arena lineup based on those cards, assuming I even have like an appropriate number of goalies or forwards left. I didn't enter AFCON arenas because I couldn't get the Essence pre-kickoff. For how mundane I've found arenas, missions have been a pleasant surprise. Man, I can't remember the last time I submitted a mission. Let's do it now. It was ever since you can't do multiple. Morocco, Cameroon, did this happen already? No, but I've got a guy on the bench. This is going to be ugly. Oh, wait, no, oh no. Yep. So we just play the guys we got left. I'm not sure this is overly exciting. I don't mind DNPs in European comps because no relegation. I can just kill the lineup and smash arena. I guess that's one way to think about it. What is this? Completes 50 passes? Let's go. Sorare Josh, have you ever bought a card for a mission? I'm curious about that. I don't think I have any super rares today. Gyro and Gotti. Actually, hold on. I don't want. Oh, that's it. I am kind of bummed that they don't have vault missions like they did in MLB. That was kind of a cool dynamic. A couple times during International Week, typically Fridays are bad for them. That makes sense. Oh man, could I play quick play? Do I have anyone playing today? Oh, I don't. Oh well. I don't know. You could have gotten your Crependiata paying out in a mission. Oh, you're right, Mike. You're right. Should have checked it before. A couple weeks ago, I had 1,000 essence for a goalkeeper getting an error led to goal. They're hit or miss, but for free utility, they're not bad. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think they're like overly fun. And I skip them most weeks because I skip the missions most days because I just kind of forget. I'm on Sorare every day, and yet I don't always do the missions. Ron John, what's up? Sorare Andrews sent me into a history of suspenders rabbit hole yesterday. The more you know. That's the whole point of that show. Just to open up the creative thoughts. I've bought cards for missions for sure, says Sean. Wow, for sure. Have I even ever considered it? I don't know. I feel like buying a card for 200 essence, meaning to win 200 essence or 50, I mean 200 XP or 50 essence. I don't know. What is, yeah, I don't know. Essence seems so dumb now anyway that I crafted a card earlier today and I was just like, oh, okay. Great. I got screwed on that super rare one. If anyone hasn't seen my super rare craft, you can see it in my latest League On super rare in-season video over on my channel right here. This one right here. 2 lineups, 1 craft. I thought it was a pretty good video. Anyway, hour 40 minutes. That's all I have for today. I'm excited by how many people were interested in talking about this in a reasonable manner, just like Mike Baston said before. I really appreciate that because I feel like for all the jokes we make, we're all adults here, and so I'm glad that we can all speak on it like that. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming. If you are like Yorkie Will and you're interested about football.fun, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I can send you a referral link because it obviously helps benefit me, much like using a referral link when you sign up for MFL. Sorry, I saw Mike say, "Did you do it for baseball?" And surely you're playing Sora already if you're watching this. But anyway, I've been having a lot of fun with football.fun. And so I'm sorry to keep using the word fun. So I'm happy to help anyone get signed up and started because it's not a time suck. in the sense that we were just saying how long it takes to make lineups and all that stuff. So it's kind of a really fun side. I don't even want to call it a side game because I spend a lot of time playing it as well. But I also do this as my job. So maybe I have a little more time than you guys do. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming. I am going to answer this question from Mike. Did you do it when they had cash missions for rewards? I did do the MLB cash vault missions. And those were fun. Yeah. But anyway, thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. If you are interested in supporting all of the content I do, patreon.com/Andrew M. Laird. That's the Laird Social Club. That's the easiest way to just say, hey, thanks for the content. And I much appreciate that as well. So good luck to everybody this weekend with whatever you have going on, whether it's on Sorare or MFL or football.fun. And whatever you do, please make sure you get outside.